Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps lots. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Monday, May 16th. We're going to take a look at SoFi. So SoFi has been on a wild ride as of late, right? We had this on the 9th, we had this decent drawdown, and then continued further, dipped into the fours, which is a crazy thing to find myself saying, and then kind of range bound itself for about a day and a half or 2 days, and then broke out, got support over that 550 level that we had on the chart, and then fought very briefly at open on this day with that $6 level, very quickly made a run at 650, confirmed support there, run toward that 750-ish level. I know there's 739. That might become more sort of distinct if it spends some time up here, as opposed to just kind of going from 650 to 7 to 6 to 550 to 750, that sort of thing. Those psychological levels that we've been talking about. And now is doing a decent job after today. I know that it dropped into the day, but it held up relatively well. It was a really choppy day, as you see in the market, as I'm sure you know by now, and SoFi was actually like relatively stable throughout the day. So for better or worse, that seemed to be the case. It wasn't necessarily just kind of tracking SPY and QQQ and IWM and whatnot with every wild swing that they had. And now rising nicely into the after hours, there was some decent news that came out today. There's all of this stuff about Nodo, and then upgrade to overweight, so on and so forth. So interesting to see that news tide turning in SoFi's favor a little bit. One thing, I know there's been other channels for sure that have done full videos on this. I wasn't going to do a deep dive into it, but I'll just offer my 2 cents on the idea of a reverse stock splits. I mean, on the face of it, my knee-jerk reaction is I don't like the idea. That's like seen, I think, pretty traditionally and pretty obviously as a bearish sign, is something that you don't want a stock that you're holding to decide to do. But we'll see if more information comes out and it becomes more clear, if there's actually legitimate reasoning behind it. It's interesting to see if Nodo's still adding, and if he's sort of taking a position that this would be the best thing that could be done for the stock at the moment. It would be interesting to sort of hear that, because certainly I don't see any benefit to him to making a stupid move, as he's accumulating more shares and certainly has a lot tied up in sweat equity and whatnot in the shares that he has accumulated over a period of years. So I'm sort of like leaving an open mind to wait to hear. But also I haven't re-entered my position. So in a sense, it's not my fight to be had at the moment, right? But that doesn't mean that before that date that I may not re-enter. So it depends how things continue to look on this daily chart, which we'll flip over to now. So I think it's probably like worthy of note that if we extend this downtrend that we had, it perfectly captured, after it tried to break out here, it perfectly captured the resistance levels on these days, and then this big gap up of 20% almost, and then holding nicely atop that run up, and you see the volume continuing to hold relatively well. I do wish, of course, that the selling volume would dissipate. It still is sort of like jumping up, and it has some big peaks here, and like I think I said last week, maybe after this day, we've seen nothing from these like short bullish blips in SoFi. We've seen nothing but it totally retrace that motion and then tear down the stock price even more, right? And so while it feels like it's getting lower than it could like continue to go, I would just say, just take into mind the full picture, and of course always make decisions based on what's best for you. But I would just say, like, don't lose sight of that. We tend to get, maybe this is me mostly talking to myself, to be honest, but tend to get a little bit too excited about any bullish momentum. so we'll see how this goes. But in any case, we now find ourselves, remember, there's these 3 rays. This one was just the most recent and sort of like most sort of like structurally inconsequential of these larger downtrend resistance levels that we've been keeping track of. So it's now starting to wrestle with the first of 3. And so it would be really interesting if this is able to establish over this 739 level and start making some motion up. First of all, we can take some time to clean up the chart and get some new levels in there. If it does start to move through there before we pick apart new levels on the chart, I would really pay attention to still psychological on the 50-cent levels, 758, 859. Like I said, if this is the period in time which things are going to start to act a little bit more independently, I don't know if we reach that point yet, but if we have, then those psychological levels are probably going to kind of take a back seat to some more like pure technical levels. So things like 739 might actually play out like 739. And so we'll put those in as it becomes a bit more clear if that's the shape that things are taking. But for now, like I said, the rest of this week may be very telling. Getting support over the 7 and then the 739 would get it, at least for now, outside of this downtrend resistance. And remember, it's popped itself out here a few times. It wicked off there. It tried with the body of the candle there. It wicked off here and here. So, it's kind of throwing a wick there again today. But we'll see how much juice it has left in the tank, and if it's able to pop itself loose. Now, just remember, if it does, it could certainly do this thing, right? I know we're feeling like we're reasonably well positioned at the moment because it's clawed back this downturn, but it broke out of this downtrend resistance and then just very quickly pulled itself back under. So that could certainly happen here. So we need to get some significant distance from this. I'm talking probably something in the $859 range before I would feel a little bit more secure that we're not just going to kind of sad face ourselves down back underneath that downtrend resistance. But we'll see how it kind of takes shape and what it has in store. And I would continue to watch this volume. We talked a lot about the volume a week or two ago, maybe a couple weeks ago at this point. And we see this nice chunk of really solid volume. Now, sadly, it's come at the time when it's come down from like 15, 16 range down to like 5. So that's not the type of volume you want to be seeing. But if we do start to retrace the downturn, so, turn back bullish, and this volume can stay strong, which, in this chunk of the candlesticks, it's looking like it may, that would be sort of a key component that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. All right, folks, I hope your week got off to a good start today. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.